Welcome to One Love Spirit Center's live stream, where we are a radically inclusive faith-based community centered in love. We strive to create a space of grace, compassion, and healing just for you. I am Elle Parker, Vice President on the Board of the Directors, and we want you to know that you are welcome, accepted, appreciated, and loved. One love.
Great morning, One Lovers. Welcome. It's Sunday morning and it's time to celebrate, y'all. I hadn't done this one in a minute right here. I love this song right here. Down around the corner, a half a mile from here, you can see the long trains run. Watch them disappear without love. Where will you be now? Hey, without love. Well, you know, I saw Miss Lucy down around the tracks. She lost her home and her family, and she won't be coming back without love. Tell me, where will you be now, now, now? Without love. With the Illinois Central and the Southern Central Freight, gotta keep on pushing, mama, 'cause you know we're running late without love. Where will you be now? Testify here, y'all, come on. Well, the Illinois Central and the Southern Central Freight, gotta keep on pushing, mama, 'cause you know we're running late without love. Where would you be now? Tell me, where would you be now? Without love. Listen, when the pistons keep on turning and the wheels go round and round and the steel rails run cold and hard all the way down without love. Hey, where would you be now, now, now? Without love. Ooh, where would you be now? Oh, yeah, yeah. Woo! Oh, yeah, keep on moving. Gotta keep on moving. Said keep on, keep on, keep on, keep on, keep on moving, moving. I'll keep that love on moving. Ooh. All right. Woo! God, let me catch my breath. Great morning, everybody. I mean, I got my head sweating. God dog it. Hey, you know what I need now? A handkerchief. And I just wave that handkerchief around. Without love, where would you be now? This is One Love Spirit Center, and we are one love. Love? I think I did that right. Patricia will have to fix it for me if I didn't. It's so great to have you here. If you want some more information about us, you can go to iamonelove.com. Simple, iamonelove.com. And you can hashtag we are one love. And that's what we are. And what's love got to do with it? Everything, everything. And we're just thankful you're joining us here today on our Sunday Connection. One of the things that I like about what we do here is that it's different. It's just different, and it may come across as formal because we want to be excellent and want to be professional, but the truth is that there's a lot. You can ask my wife. A lot of spontaneous stuff happens here. It is different, and it's not mapped out. We rarely ever script this thing. Seriously, there's some things we know are going to happen in sections. You kind of have to know that in order to be in sync, but most of the time, we really do just have a really cool synchronicity going on around this. But going back to different, one of the things I wanted to do different from the very beginning of One Love was I wanted to offer different options musically. Didn't want it to always necessarily be religious music, but we wanted to remain with the theme of positivity, of course, and with love. And one of the people who has contributed to this movement since it began is Ryan Oyer. And Ryan is a singer, songwriter, musician in the Chattanooga area that I met when I was at Unity of Chattanooga as their lead minister. And just fell in love with Ryan and his kids and their family, his dad and his Tom with all those dad jokes. That man's got jokes. But Ryan is singer-songwriter. He's really been going through some things or went through some things over the last year and a half that brought out some songs. You know, when you break the egg from the inside, as I've said before, when you break it from the inside, new life begins. When it's broken from the outside, death begins. I like to say that that's what Ryan did, was broke the egg from the inside, and inspiration just flowed. Well, one of the things that Ryan has continued to do is write songs. He recorded a new record that's out now, by the way, and you should go support Ryan. But he also has now put out an official music video to his song, Phoenix Rising. And he wrote that song from the idea or the principle behind the mythological bird, the phoenix. In fact, I have the phoenix on my arm there. And right in there it says, out of the ashes. Out of the ashes we rise. The idea is that nothing can really hold me down. Nothing really happens to me. Things just happen. And I may happen to be in the way of whatever's happening or in the flow of when that is happening. But that even death itself, to a relationship or to a job or to a career or even to what you think is a dream, with death can always come new life. That's the hope. That's the message that we have and the freedom that we have as conscious creative beings. So Ryan has made his official music video available to us, and I told him that I would love to share that with our community in support of him, and also I think you'll enjoy the message, not just in the song, but in the play as it's played out on camera. And here's Ryan's official music video.
Rise up from your ashes, but you're gonna have to let yourself burn. Wipe the tears away from your lashes, reach the point of no return. From the flames you face your freedom, from the cage you cast aside. If you're broken heart still beating. Spread your wings now, learn to fly. 'Cause you're a phoenix and you're rising. Come on and show them how you fly. To a brand new sun is shining from the darkest soul of night. You're a phoenix and you're rising. Come on and show them how you fly. You're a phoenix, and now it's time to rise. Spark flies down from the heavens to ignite a brand new day for the misfits and the broken that were left out in the rain. To the tired and the weary, even though the night is long, the horizon storm is clearing. Sing until the break of dawn. 'Cause you're a phoenix and you're rising. Come on and show them how you fly. To a brand new sun is shining from the darkest soul of night. You're a phoenix and you're rising. Come on and show them how you fly. You're a phoenix, and now it's time to rise. You're a phoenix and you're rising. Come on and show them how you fly. To a brand new sun shining from the darkest soul of night. You're a phoenix and you're rising. Come on and show them how you fly. You're a phoenix, and now's the time to rise.
Ryan, we are very proud of you in so many different ways. not just your musical abilities and not just your really cool video, but you as a person. You and I have spent a lot of time talking, and where you were emotionally and the experiences you were going through and where you are now, worlds apart. So proud of you, and thank you for sharing your gift with us. So make sure you go check out Ryan's. Check out his Facebook page, YouTube. This video is on YouTube, and so the clicks that when you click on it to watch it, it helps with those algorithms as well. Helps him get his music out. You know, when I think about where we've been, what we've come through, what we've been talking about and experiencing since the first of the year, it's hard to believe that we are 8 months into our journey together here at One Love Spirit Center. And we continue to be a strong, thriving, meditative, contemplative faith community of people who have centered our focus on really doing what this series title is all about: learning to or living your best life in a new world. Learning to live consciously, Vision 2.0, living consciously and living your best life in a new world. I've made some very strong statements about that. Really, I was saying some of this stuff before One Love Spirit Center even came to be. When I was at Unity of Chattanooga, I remember talking about the shift constantly, that there was a shift. And I continue to experience shifting and awakening. And in order to really live your best life, there must be an awakening. And let me say this about awakening. What can happen with an awakening sometimes is that you can get so woke. And I've met people who get here, and it's not really surprising. It's another trick of the ego. The ego needs to find a way to try to once again gain ground. And when you're living consciously, the ego starts to get pushed to the back seat, and it doesn't really care for that. Even in the back seat, it wants to be a backseat driver, but it certainly wants to be back in the driver's seat. And something can happen, and really the only word that I can think of that describes this best is the word, or two words, Zen stink. Zen stink. It's a word that, of course, comes out of Zen Buddhism, and the symbolism is that you can get so zen that you start to stank of it. In other words, you become arrogant. And so once again, you move back into a place of ego. Because to me, the way we measure our spiritual growth and our spiritual expansion is not through how much we know. It's not through how powerful we become or know we are. It's not with... In fact, I think this is a trick of the ego, thinking you have a grip on it. Because the moment you think you have a grip on it, it has already gripped you, and not consciousness, I'm talking about ego, has already gripped you. So if you start to feel yourself condescending toward others or having an attitude toward other people that you think are not quite as woke as you, be careful, you might be getting into that Zen stank. So I want to talk about awakening a little bit and how awakening has stages. It's not that you just wake up and now that's it. Let me help us with this a little bit. I'll use this metaphor today. Living your best life, waking up, those aspects and steps that come in stages similar to when you wake up in the morning. How many know that when you first wake up, you're a bit disoriented? Most people who wake up in the morning, no matter how much sleep you've had the night before, are a bit disoriented. You need to reorient to the environment in order to be successful. So people who wake up and jump right up out of bed, a lot of times end up having a fall. How many of you ever experienced that before? Man, I remember one time I was actually, this is back when I had my first singing job with a Southern gospel group. During the night, I was sleeping in the bus bunk, and my bunk was about midway up. And so if you've ever been in a tour bus, typically on both sides toward the back, just past the front lounge area, are bunks. And there'll be 3 or 4 on either side. Well, this had 3 on either side, so you could sleep 6 people. And my bunk was midway on the left side, walking back toward the back. So when I swung my feet over and started to slide down, I was about that far from hitting the floor. Standing straight up, the bunk was about right here, okay? I promise this is leading somewhere. Somehow during the night, my sheet had wrapped around my leg, just under the knee, and had put my leg to sleep on the bottom portion. So when I swung out, like, I don't know why I woke up this fast, but I woke up, swung right out of the bunk, like kind of, I don't know if I woke up from a dream or what, but as soon as I hit the floor, I hit the floor. I couldn't feel the bottom portion of my right leg, so I hit the floor. I was disoriented. I didn't know where I was. Sometimes when something happens in our life that shakes us awake, in other words, it's not progression, or it's not some journey that we went on intentionally, but maybe it's a nightmare. Maybe you go through a nightmarish relationship. You go through a nightmare in your life as it pertains to your physical health. You have something that shakes you awake. A lot of times that's disorienting. Give yourself time to orient to where you are. Take it easy, take some deep breaths, and then move through the motions. There's also the aspect of waking up and then preparing yourself to get the day going. You're not automatically prepared most of the time when you wake up to get the day going. For me, I wake up really early, and so some of the first things that I do is, instead of flipping all the lights on and causing myself to be disoriented even further, a lot of times I'll ease my way into it. I'll go into the living room, I'll turn on some meditation music. Most of the time for me, that's what's gonna happen in my morning routine. And I'm gonna turn on a lamp. I'm not gonna throw the brightest light in the room on, because again, that will also disorient. And I give myself time to get fully awake. Am I speaking to somebody today? The awakening process is in stages for most of us. And still, after I've been awake for an hour or so, there's still a part of me that's preparing for my day. See, we're still in prep time for this new day, and it's okay to just take a deep breath and take your time. If you're like my wife, you're going to go through a process of shower, doing hair, doing makeup, doing the other stuff to get ready for the day. Does that make sense? If you're like me, you're going to shave your head, you're going to brush your teeth, you're going to do the shower thing, you're going to go through stages. I don't want to exhaust this too much, but my point is that awakening doesn't mean that you are absolutely ready to take the tiger by the tail. Sometimes it happens in stages, waking up and then preparing to take on this new day. Hopefully that makes sense to you. And this is one of the reasons we shouldn't become so comfortable and arrogant with our wokeness that we look at other people and we start to kind of look down our nose thinking, well, if you are as wake as me or as woke as me, you wouldn't be acting that way. That means you're not as woke as you thought you were, because the more awakened we become to the conscious awareness that we really are, the more humble, kind, and giving we become, the more loving and understanding, the less judgmental. I think I said this on Wednesday in our midweek connection. I don't think that my assumptions, my knowledge, my ability to interpret spiritual things is the measure of my consciousness or my awakeness. I believe love is. And love hopes all things, believes all things, and endures all things, and this is why love never fails. Love lets go of judgment. Love releases everyone from any wrongs done. In fact, it says in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, when Paul is laying out what he thinks love is, he says love keeps no record of wrongs. And so if there's a part of you that's keeping record of wrongs from your exes or your family members or somebody who did you wrong 20 years ago, there's still a part of you that is waiting to wake up and start moving toward living your best life. Now, what's this have to do with living my best life? Well, in the new world, it's going to require us to be awake and then possibly awakened again, or further awake than we were when we first were brought into this light of love and truth. So it's a journey, it's a destination. I love these quotes, and this will get us further into today's subject. Again, living your best life in a new world. Melody Beattie said, "Quit hanging on to the handrails. Let go. Surrender. Go for the ride of your life. Do it every day. Let me read that again. Quit hanging on to the handrails. Let go. Surrender. Go for the ride of your life. Do it every day. I love how David the psalmist said, your mercies are new every morning. So every day, Melody says here, let go of the handrails. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of, I can't remember what movie this was in, but it's the kid that throws his hands up riding his bike and says, look, Mom, no hands. There's a sense of being able to let go of the handrail, to let go of the thing that holds you down and limits you, to let go of limited thinking is what I feel led to say there in that moment. Surrender to the ride of your life. Go for it. And go for it every single day. Gene Simmons, who was part of the band Kiss, and I don't have a slide for this, but it is a quote that I grabbed a little later after doing all the slides. He said, I don't wait for the calendar to figure out when I should live. I don't wait for the calendar to figure out when I should live. In other words, the calendar was given to you for you to fill it up with the life you want. That's why those spaces are blank. You see numbers and blank spaces. Why? Because you need to decide what you want to put in those slots. And I'm living my best life. I'm deciding that Sunday to Sunday, around the clock, 365 days out of the year, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, I've decided to live my best life right now. What does that include? Whatever comes. Because as consciousness grows in us, we start to welcome whatever comes because we realize that in some way it belongs. And as you welcome it and accept it, you become more fluid than you can receive. You'd be surprised at how much weight you can carry through this life just by becoming more like water. I'm not going to start talking about water again, I promise. Somebody said, oh my God, here he goes, talking about water again. But the truth is, what you can lift in the water in comparison to what you can lift outside of the water is far more. Can I get a witness? I mean, how many of you ever had your kids, they're like, throw me, daddy, and you find out that, like my kids, at least one of them still young enough, I don't know, he's to the point now, I don't know that I'd want to throw him around in the pool either, but he's 8 years old and they just kind of want you to throw him through the water. Well, one of the best ways to do that is to go underneath the water and push up and let the water help you with that process. The more fluid you become, the more weight you tend to be able to carry in this life. Abraham Lincoln said, and in the end, it's not the years in your life that count. It's the life in your years. What you put into your life. You know, the old saying on a tombstone, there's a date that you began, there's a date that you passed, but it's the dash in between that counts the most. It's not how many years you live your life. It's how much life do you live in the years that you have here. Jesus said, I come to give you life and life more abundant. What did he mean by that? He said it 2,000 years ago, and my question is, are we doing it? Of all of the things that the great masters over the years have tried to teach us, Jesus says to us, I come to give you life and life more abundant. That doesn't magically happen when you pray the right prayer and get your sins under the blood. It magically happens when you receive that life that is within you, when you allow to be born within you that conscious awareness that you already are. There's nothing to get outside here. It's all an inside job. And as you let that open up and you let that life flow through to and as you, then you start to live your best life. And your best life is not based on how much money you have, how many houses you have, how many cars you have. It's not based on any of those things. Now, those are wonderful things to have. They're great to have. But when you start living your best life, you'll find out that you attract everything you need to make that life work. I'm telling you, this stuff works. Believing that you can manifest the life you want to live into this very moment, and from this moment forward be living that manifestation, we can tell you, Carrie and I can tell you together, that actually works. You start seeing it line up. And then you start to, as Einstein said, stop living life looking for miracles. You start living life as a miracle, that in every moment there's miraculous things happening. So I wrote some things down because to me, look, here's the deal. Contrary to what some people might tell you, I love Jesus. Jesus to me is a light giver, is the light giver. In my personal opinion, looking back over all of the studies that I've done of Buddha and the Vedic tradition and Muhammad and the different ones. I'm not saying Jesus is better, but for me, I believe Jesus embodied all of the conscious awareness of divine presence. I believe that that's what Jesus is for us even to this day. So when I look at the life of Jesus, there's a few things that I wrote down that I believe lead us to living our best life. And number one, here's 9 things that I noticed that Jesus does in his path that I believe are magical things for us to do that will unlock this nature within us. Number 1, meditation. Jesus was constantly, and it's my number 1 thing too, meditation, as I've mentioned to you before, I believe is the best medication you can ever take. Meditation is that inward journey. Jesus constantly was stealing away, as it said in the scriptures, to go and to pray and to meditate, to be with his own self. In fact, when we see in the Khabouris manuscripts, when Jesus is supposedly tempted of the devil, the Khabouris manuscripts actually say that he was taken up to a high mountain to be tempted of his own self. It was the shadow self and the light self that were beginning to work out whatever contract they were going to sign for the rest of his existence. The biggest devil you'll ever face is that devil within you. It's that ego side or the shadow side that's going to try to run things. Find a way to negotiate and sometimes make demands and allow the light self, the conscious self, to be the one in charge, deciding how you're going to live your daily life. So meditation was number 1. Jesus believed in going within to become aware of connection with the eternal and making contact with the silent mind. That's what meditation, I believe, meant to Jesus, is what it means to me. Going within to become aware of my connection with the eternal and make contact with the silent mind, to get past all the chatter and to allow the silent mind to emerge. Number 2, contemplation, reflecting on truth rather than belief. We could stop there and probably spend the rest of this service or session together on that. Reflecting on the truth rather than belief. You know, Jesus studied all of the great traditions of his own religion. That's why I've said to people before, Jesus didn't come to start the Christian religion. He came to reform his own religion, which was Judaism. He came to reform it or to reformulate it. So Jesus would go and contemplate, reflect on the truth rather than his beliefs. The traded down beliefs are what traditions are. And when your beliefs come face to face with truth and truth is different or truth challenges your beliefs, what will you do with your beliefs? Will you hold on to them? Or will you let them go and allow the truth to set you free? Number 3, revelation. Receiving spiritual insight, not just physical eyesight. So as we meditate, as we contemplate, revelation begins to come, and then the insight begins to flow. Seeing from the inside out instead of through the filters of the eyesight. What I have seen, you know, the old saying, we walk by faith, not by sight. Getting insight. It reminds me of the Apostle Paul, the story in the New Testament where Paul is going literally to lock up and to kill and persecute Christians, and he gets knocked off of his high horse and blinded. That's the way the narrative goes. And in his blindness, eyesight goes away and insight comes. Sometimes our awakening is to be blinded to what we thought was truth so that we can gather the truth, the consciousness the Spirit is trying to bring to us. So number 3, revelation. Number 4, prayer. Asking for and affirming higher guidance. We see that constantly from Jesus, not just prayers of petition, but prayers of affirmation. We did this on Wednesday night as we gathered together and we prayed for those who are affected by COVID. We prayed for our brothers and sisters in Afghanistan and Haiti and Africa and other parts of the world where people are being persecuted and hurt. Human rights are being violated left and right. We gathered in prayer, and what did we do? We used the prayer of St. Francis of Assisi. The difference is instead of asking, we affirmed. We made an affirmation of that prayer. Jesus would go and pray, not just asking of the Father or the parenting force, but also affirming that higher guidance was there. Number 5, and I love this one, because a lot of us think that grace, and that's number 5, grace receiving the full awareness of God in one mind and one heart. Receiving the full awareness of God into your own heart, one mind and one heart. That's really what grace is. It's receiving a full awareness. I have been graced with the awareness of who I really am. Now I can live my best life because I know who I am. See, the thing is, when I say live your best life, who's the you I'm talking to? Because it may not necessarily be the you that you were raised to be. It could be, and more than likely is, the you behind all of that. The true you, the authentic and essential you. That's grace. Now, of course, you know I have to, in these 9, I have to mention this one. Love. Number 6, love. Participating in your essential nature, which is divine love. At your very core, you are love. And so as Jesus was meditating and contemplating, and he was getting revelation, and he was praying, and he was moving through grace, he also moved in love. He participated in his full nature, which is divine love. Pat yourself on the chest right now and say, I am divine love. I am divine love. I am divine love. I don't have to go get it. I am it. And as I emerge in this world, the world is more loving just because I'm here, because the divine love that is within me is emerging out into the world around me. And of course, then I'm living my best life because love is it's the only force in the world. Hatred's not a force. Hatred never seen a day it was a force. Hatred is the absence of love. It's not a force. Love is the force. Number 7, faith. Now, here's the thing about faith. When I was growing up, I was essentially told that, if you got cancer and you had enough faith, God would heal you of that cancer. And the people who didn't get healed of that cancer must not have had enough faith. Let me help us with the word faith. I don't believe faith is about that at all. Here's what I believe faith is. I believe faith is complete and utter trust in that nature and higher reality that is within us. It's the ultimate trust, not that what I prayed for I'm going to get, but it's ultimate trust in that higher dimension and higher reality that is already within me. Can I get a witness? Somebody. That's faith. So when we walk by faith and not by sight, it means we are walking in ultimate trust, and because we're walking by insight rather than eyesight. That means I don't need anything from the external to confirm or to affirm who I am. I do that from the inside out. It's an inside job. And as I affirm who I am and I walk in that ultimate trust, in the consciousness that I am, the divine child of the Creator that I am, now I'm walking in faith and miracles don't begin to happen. I just start recognizing that all of life is a miracle and every moment is a blessed miracle. And the more grateful I become for those moments that are miracles, the more to be grateful for comes. The more things to be grateful for start to show up. Faith. Number 8, salvation. Now, as I say the word salvation, there's a little part in my brain that twitches. Because in many ways, I was taught salvation was you being either rescued from the devil or rescued from God. You weren't sure which one, and it depended on the preacher that week that was preaching, because you were being delivered from the devil or from an angry God. Jonathan Edwards was popularized. His message was sinners in the hands of an angry God. And it said that he would detail hell and the tortures of hell so much that people would actually black out and faint in his sermons. And he thought it was the Holy Spirit bringing on conviction. No, he's freaking these people to hell out with telling them about a God. And if you believe God is the ultimate, and you can get people convinced that that God is ticked off at them and angry at them, they're going to have a physical response to it, because God's the one you have to stand before when you leave this life. Come in the camera, look. Come in to the screen a little closer. Come here. God is not mad at you. God's not angry. God doesn't need to get even with you. If God wanted to kill you, He wouldn't have to send anybody to look for you. He knows where you're at. He, she, it, that presence that's all around us, omnipresent, ever-present. Come on, folks, we need to stop believing in an ogre God who picks and chooses the moments and times that He'll bring judgment. To my evangelical friends who are fundamentalists, this whole idea that the COVID-19 virus is a curse from God to get rid of gay people is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard of in my life. If God sends a plague to try to take people out, then why didn't God send a plague during slavery when slaves were being held in bondage, were being raped and tortured? Oh, God chose to do something different at that time. I guess God was asleep during that moment. Or what about when the indigenous people were genocide was being committed against them right here on this very land? In this America that gives you the right to say such ridiculous things. God's not petty. God doesn't need to get back at anyone. All right, salvation. Salvation. Here's what salvation means to me, okay? And this is the word in the Greek, in the New Testament, the word is sozo. S-O-Z-O, sozo. And it means to be rescued or to be delivered. Delivered. Removed from captivity. That's what it means. What a beautiful thing. Are we advocating for the salvation of the souls of humanity? Absolutely, and here's what we mean by that, or at least what I mean by that. Salvation to me is being freed from the conditioned mind and released from limitation. Freed from the conditioned mind and released from limitation. Somebody needs to shout on that right now. That's what salvation is. It's not about the petty sins of whether you cussed or fussed or hung out with people that did or had sex before you got married or you got too drunk on Friday night or you used to do drugs. It's not, that stuff's petty stuff that believe me, if God stands at the start and stares at the end, if God's the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, God knows about all of the junk in your trunk and your function and dysfunction before you ever do it, and doesn't need to punish you for those things. There's punishment enough in those things. Salvation is not about getting rid of the sins, these petty sins. Salvation is about freeing the mind from the conditioning that tells you you're not already God. And freeing you from limited thinking that keeps you from living your best life. That's really what salvation is. Sozo, to be delivered, rescued, freed from limited thinking. Now, the final one, I chose it on purpose to be the final one. This is one of the things that I notice about Jesus and I love about Jesus, that people who tend to claim the name of Jesus have a tendency to claim the name of Jesus while pushing other people out. Here's the thing. The people who are saved mentality. All of us are working on being saved, which is to be delivered or reconditioned, to be freed from our limited thinking. The people who claim salvation have to have people who are not saved to even be happy with being saved. And I'll tell you why. You can't have an in crowd without an out crowd. You wouldn't know you were the in crowd. So people who are like out there talking about we need to get everybody saved, the problem with that is you wouldn't know whether you were saved then because you wouldn't have anything to compare yourself to. See, as we move past this idea of us and them, the ins and the outs, and we move past that division, we get into the space of oneness. And now all of our conditioning has to shift, and it shifts toward this word, simple word, unity. Unity. What we see from Jesus is meditation, contemplation, revelation, prayer, grace, love, faith, salvation, and unity. The final prayer Jesus prays for his disciples is not that they would get themselves right. Jesus doesn't pray, man, I've been with these guys for 3 years in ministry and they still don't understand anything I'm saying. God the Father, would you please rattle their cages and get them right with you before they go to hell? That's not Jesus' final prayer. His final prayer is not even a petition. His final prayer is that we would all recognize that we are one. In other words, the consciousness would awaken within us. Unity. Here's how I define unity for today. Unity is becoming aware of the oneness with divine presence, and that includes your neighbor. They are also the divine presence. There is no us and them. There's only us. Awakening to your best life, to learn to live your best life in this new world, is transcending the things that divide. Do I still feel those tinges of division? You better believe it. One of the reasons that I decided to withdraw from social media, except for to post things for One Love Spirit Center this last week. For the majority of this last week, that's what I decided to do, because every time I would go in there, I would notice the polarization. And I would see people saying things that I completely disagree with. I would see people spouting off facts that are not facts, they're alternative facts. And I'm thinking in my head, oh my God, where do you get this information that's not true? And next thing I know, I'm getting into judgment, and as I get into judgment, now I'm making it us and them. I'm putting them on the out, and I'm putting me on the in, and guess what happens to unity? It goes out the door. So, to return to unity, sometimes we have to unplug from all of the other activities around us. You want to live your best life? We're going to have to learn to unplug just a little more so that we can embrace each other fully and not limited. So what does it mean to live our best life in a new world? To me, to fully awaken to your conscious self. That's how we do it. To fully awaken to my conscious self. Well, Pastor Jay, when will I know I've done that? I have no idea. Wait, you haven't done that? I don't know. Well, why are we doing something that we can't know? Oh, you'll know it when you come up to it. You'll know it. But it's in the realm beyond description. I'm not saying I've arrived. I'm pointing toward a direction that we all need to go in. And it is the journey. You know, there's no road to peace. Peace is the road. There's no road to enlightenment. Enlightenment is the road. There's no road to perfection. Perfection is the road. It's getting in the pathway and living with the rhythm of life. You'll know it. To fully awaken, you'll know when you're fully awake. That's why it's called a walk of faith. Into the unknown. Into the realm beyond description, beyond label, beyond explanation. And it's the experience that will change us into what I want to say that I think it'll change us into our Christed self, our fully awakened, conscious, divine self. But then I've just used words to try to explain what could only be experienced. Yeah, but I've decided, beyond a shadow of a doubt, to not wait to live my best life. I've chosen to live my best life right now in this new world. Let's just take a few moments to affirm this together. Not really going to spend time deep breathing and meditation. We're going to do that on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But I'm going to invite us into this affirmative St. Francis prayer again today, to affirm it again today. I've already told you it's quite possibly my favorite prayer of all time. But I'll invite you to close your eyes for just a moment and bring your attention to the breathing. And I'm going to ask you to affirm this prayer with me. I am an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, I am love. Where there is injury, I am pardon. Where there is doubt, I am faith. Where there is despair, I am hope. Where there is darkness, I am light. Where there is sadness, I am joy. I seek to console rather than be consoled. I seek to understand rather than be understood. I seek to love rather than be loved. For it is in giving that I receive. In pardoning, I am pardoned. And in dying to my own limitations, I begin to live. And I'll invite you into this affirmation with me. I am an instrument of peace. Our final affirmation for this moment together is this: I choose to live my best life right now. I choose to live my best life right now. And so it is. And so it is. Ah, man. And that is the choice that we can all make. I choose to live my best life right now. If you would type that in the comments, somebody just put it into the comments. I choose to live my best life right now. All right, all right, all right. That's good stuff. I want to say a special thank you to Reverend Ray Wiggins, who sent me that St. Francis affirmative prayer. He sent it to me on Facebook. Reverend Ray is a gentleman I met at Unity of Nashville a few years ago, and he's just a wonderful soul. Reverend Ray he's well into his 80s, and the man's just still kicking, like he's still just doing it. I always loved his voice. He used to do radio years ago, so he had one of those voices, and he would come up and say, "Hi, I'm Reverend Ray Wiggins." And I was like, "Can you say that again?" WWW. Anyway, Reverend Ray, thank you for sharing that with me. A few announcements, some things that we need to share. One, we continue to do our meditation Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of every week, 6:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 6:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for our meditation time together. And so I invite you to continue to join us for that. Also, we have our Midweek Connection, and the Midweek Connection is on Wednesday evenings at 7 p.m. Right now, we're going through the Tao. This last Wednesday, we took time to just gather for prayer, to pray for our world. There's a lot going on in our world. But we'll continue that study. And in fact, I have it on good word. We're going to have a guest along with me. Yeah, to talk about the Tao Te Ching. That'll be this Wednesday at 7 o'clock for our Midweek Connection. Following the Midweek Connection, don't forget that we are still doing our book study. Our own Patricia Leffler, who's a board member here, is leading that discussion. It's in our Facebook chat room right after our Midweek Connection. So you're invited to be a part of that discussion. If you've not been a part of the discussion already, you still can be. There's still time, so join in and be a part of that. I also want to say a special thank you to everyone who continues to give to this community. Thank you for those who are going to choose to start doing that today. We know and we affirm that we are blessed, that every bill is paid, and that we are prospering more than we ever have before. You help to make that possible as you support this ministry. And yes, it is a 501c3, which means when you give at the end of the year, you're going to get a tax deduction letter. So if you've been wondering about giving, and you're wondering how to spell million, it's M-I-L-L-I-O-N. For billion, just put a B in front of it. I'm messing with you. But in all seriousness, if you want to give $1 million, you can. Thank you for supporting this ministry, and thank you to our board for deciding how those funds go out and the things that we get to do to help others in the world, because we always tithe from what you give as well to help other ministries and other people in the community around us. And I really can't think of anything else. You know what I did? I put my guitar up earlier, and I need to do this theme song. So my guitar is in the case right over there, babe. Speaking of things that we do that are spontaneous, you're going to hear her unzipping this carrying case. She's sneaking over right now. You should see the way she's doing this. She's tiptoeing through the tulips to get to a guitar that I put up that I knew better than to put up. And this is so we can do our theme song, our One Love song. And I want to say, baby, thank you so much. I owe you a little extra kiss for that. Thank you, love. I appreciate you so much. All right, here we go, y'all, and I want you to join me in this song. You know what this song is, and you can sing it right where you are. One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel all right. One love, oh, 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 yeah. One heart, give thanks and praise to the Lord, and I will feel alright. Oh yeah, let's get together and feel alright. Everybody give thanks and praise to the Lord, and I will feel alright. Yes, I will. And I'm looking for our affirmations here so that we can do our service ending affirmation together. Everyone, I affirm that I am inclusive, compassionate, kind, and strong. I am awake, aware, and fully alive. I am pure presence, I am divine, and I am one love. And I'll invite you into this confession as well. I am living my best life right now, and so it is. I love you. Now go and make it a great day. In fact, make it a great week, because you can. Remember to join on Wednesday. We have a special guest. Oh, and next Sunday, you don't want to miss next Sunday. Next Sunday is a special Sunday. It's our 5th Sunday, and we have a surprise for you. I love you. Peace. Make it a great week. Bye.